This is Bionca Ellis back in June of 2024 at her arraignment, a week after the unaliving of Julian Wood. Is this someone you think was sane at the time of the incident? Now, the state has rested this case and the defense has started to present its case. I think it's important to note that Ellis has been suffering from schizophrenia since at least 2014 and maybe sooner. You will hear later on Dr. Megan Testa testify to her evaluation of Ellis after the unaliving of Julian Wood occurred. This is a picture of Dr. Megan Testa. She is the forensic interviewer, psychiatrist that evaluated Ellis after the unaliving of Julian Wood occurred. Her task was to determine whether or not Ellis was competent to stand trial. She was not determining whether or not at the time Ellis understood what she was doing was right or wrong. Dr. Testa started her evaluation of Ellis when Ellis was admitted back in August of 2024 for a 20-day competency evaluation. You will hear the testimony that Dr. Testa stated that when she's determining whether or not a person is competent to stand trial, there are four things that she considers or she looks for during her evaluation. The first thing she has to determine is whether or not Ellis had a present mental health condition, which we know Ellis had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Second, after determining that, she would determine whether or not that condition adjudicated her capacity, which means these two questions needs to be answered. That if Ellis could understand what was going on, the proceedings of the court, and lastly, whether or not Ellis could help assist her defense attorneys. That is the task or the evaluation Dr. Testa used to determine whether or not Ellis was competent to stand trial. Again, she's not evaluating her to determine whether or not she actually understood at the time what she was doing was wrong or right. Listen to what Dr. Testa testified to. Before I play the clip, it's important to know Dr. Testa is testifying to previous medical records from 2023 when Ellis was admitted to a mental health facility. So she's reading over the notes and things that has already been in Ellis's mental health file or medical file.
Wanting to impregnate her, she thought there was a profit involved. She had been taken to the Fairview Emergency Department. She had called 911 at that time. She stated that she didn't feel safe. She had been out of medications for about a month. She was unable to obtain refills in the community. She was seeing visions of people coming out of her walls to try to kill her at night. She was talking about Albert Einstein and a bowl of ants. She had been able to sleep. This record stated that she was visibly hallucinating at that time. They admitted her to Mary Mount Hospital, and she required an 11-day hospitalization and was stabilized on antipsychotic medication at that time.
She still carries an active diagnosis of schizophrenia?
Yes, schizophrenia is a brain disorder. So once you have it, it's a lifelong brain disorder. It does not go away. It's a chronic illness.
Without medication, will her symptoms likely return?
Absolutely. I mean, we know it for most people, that's true. But we know it as a fact for Miss Ellis because we have her records. It's very clear from her records when she stops medication or when she runs out, her symptoms return.
Did you have the occasion to watch any video of Miss Ellis at her arraignment for her legal proceedings?
Yes, I saw that.
And the observations that you made when you first met her in person and what you saw in those videos, is that consistent with the observations at North Coast?
Yes, her presentation in the arraignments is similar to her presentation at North Coast with the disengaging, leaning down, the bizarre affect. That is all consistent.
This is her at her arraignment. A week after the unaliving of Julian Wood.
Testa, to the ordinary person, she looks like she's laughing.
Correct.
While the judge is identifying the most serious of charges. Is there an explanation for that?
Well, as a psychiatrist looking at that behavior does not fit the setting. That does not fit the occasion. It's what we would call an incongruent affect or an incongruent emotional expression. The behavior is just not appropriate for the setting. She also looks to the side at points or looks up. That could indicate that she's perceiving something that none of us can perceive, that is in fact funny or is in fact amusing, but we cannot perceive that. That's another explanation for that behavior. What I can say is that is the behavior that we observed at North Coast while she was off medications. When she got onto medications, that behavior stopped. That symptom is not controllable. So if that indeed is a symptom of schizophrenia, that affective inappropriateness, that is not controllable.
Again, Dr. Testa is only the doctor who evaluated Ellis to determine whether or not she was competent to stand trial. It is important to note that the state has rested its case without providing an expert at this time regarding Ellis's mental state. I do foresee after the defense rests its case, the state having a rebuttal witness to combat what the defense has raised as issues and whether or not Ellis was actually sane or insane at the time of the unaliving of Julian Wood.